Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Athlete's Journey, Winning on and Off the Field, a special podcast series looking at the financial journey of athletes through the eyes of some of Australia's most influential sporting figures. I'm Brent Read, and today I'm here with Ambassador Chris Lawrence and NRL star, Triple M host, Channel 9 host, Millie Elliott. How are you, Millie?
Well,
you're everywhere.
Yeah, well, everywhere. You know what they say, good at all, master at none. Is that what they say?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Something like that.
Well, Millie, let's dive straight into it. Obviously, rugby league is part of your career right now. How did it all start?
Rugby league, I've grown up with it ever since I can remember. Down in Cobargo on the far south coast of New South Wales. My dad used to play for the Raiders back in the day. My uncle played. When I turned 5, I think that's when we could start playing. My older brother was playing. It was just very normal for all of us to be playing. And, I've always loved it. Not sure why sometimes it's such a cruel sport at times, but it's definitely got its highs and lots of lows. But, it's given me so much. And, I've just been introduced to it from such a young age. It's always been a part of our family and what we do on the weekends. And, I started playing a lot of rugby union when I couldn't play rugby league, and then switched back to the league. And I haven't had a year without footy in my life since as long as I can remember.
When you first started, obviously you did it for the love of it, and I'd imagine there would have been plenty of other sports that you would have played as well. At what point did you look at it as potentially a career? Because there wasn't necessarily an established pathway for young girls coming through to play professionally. At what sort of age did you think, well, maybe I can do this professionally?
Yeah, look, I think even when it started, when I got my first actual paid contract, it still wasn't even like it was $3,000. I was absolutely cheering, but I was like, well, obviously we can't live off $3,000. Probably wasn't until a couple of years in when, the money got a little bit better, where you can actually start doing it on the side with something else, not 80% work, 20% footy, when it becomes that kind of even balance. But, I came across from rugby union where I remember we went away to the World Cup and we all left our jobs. None of us got paid. That's just how it was. And then coming over to league, it was like, oh, what? They're actually paying us to play footy? Like I said, it wasn't too much, but it's grown year on year. And the opportunities, I guess, that come while you're playing footy have, for me, been just as valuable as playing the sport itself.
The women's space has made a dramatic transformation in your lifetime alone, even the last 5-10 years, right? So when you're a young person growing up, you obviously aspire to potentially play rugby league, but the game itself, there's so many opportunities now for women, isn't there? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, growing up, I never saw women play rugby league. I watched men play, and I loved. You said
you had to stop. Did you have to stop?
Yeah, we stopped at 12. It's a bit like get your violin out. We've all heard it, kind of thing. But that was just how it was, and didn't think that I would ever really play again. Always loved watching it and looking up and knowing that that's something my brother could do, and how cool is that? I could maybe sit on the sideline. But it's crazy now, the opportunities that girls have. We've got girls in our squad that have come through playing in primary school into high school, straight into opens, and having their own competition just for girls, and straight into women's. That was never a thing. There was a big chunk of 10 years that you missed pretty much, where you weren't tackling, you weren't really passing, you weren't doing all of those skills. So a big fundamental skill set, I guess, was lost, and we're definitely seeing that now through the girls that are playing.
With again, I've got two sisters who, again, were very sporty, and there wasn't many pathways. The only sports, you pretty much you went into were, netball or basketball. Yeah. And so, obviously, the reason why, netball players obviously are very elite, but now there are so many opportunities and the pathways for girls and the options to go down are so vast. Are you seeing that now with some of maybe the 18, 19-year-old girls who might be coming in and training in the squad, that they've now made that selection early on and they've had that opportunity to play continuously from that young age? Are you seeing the benefits of them playing continuously through their teens?
Yeah, absolutely. You're seeing, not just footy players, but players in like key positions, spine players, like 16-year-old girls who are genuine halves, fullbacks, hookers, like where they've got that skill set in those positions. It's advanced so much. If you go back and look at the first NRLW game, the first season where it was only a few games and then a final, like it's amazing that it was there, but it's hard to watch. But that's the only thing that the girls had back then. Not hard to watch, but you see where it's come now, and it's it's gone leaps and bounds. We saw the under-19s play in the State of Origin the other night, and the skill level is just incredible. And like you said, the girls have chosen that they want that to be their sport. Rugby league's such a big sport in Australia, and it's accessible and easy for girls to play. Probably the hardest thing is probably getting the parents to sign off on tackling and things like that. But it's good that we're not just seeing, not that netball's bad, but all sports are great, but it's not just those traditional female sports.
You've done a hell of a lot in your career, done everything really. What are you most proud of? Or what stands out?
Oh, look, I think for me now, I'm so lucky to have done what I've done and really enjoy my career, but now doing it as a mum after having my little girl Gigi last year, it's really special to be able to come back and share that with her. It's something that I've always wanted to do and I didn't know if I would be able to, so that's probably what stands out the most. Having a whole new kind of purpose for it, and she can grow up knowing that that's what Mum did for work. So
talk to us about, coming back, because you not only came back, playing, you came back straight into an Origin series. And how was that? Obviously there would have been a lot of motivation there, but there wasn't any games to prepare to sort of get you, game fit. Tell us how you got yourself ready for selection and how it felt when you did get selected in the side.
Yeah, it was quite daunting, to be honest, like going back into footy and that being State of Origin. There's obviously a lot of pressure to perform and to win, and it's pretty cutthroat. Every game is in Origin, but for me it was just about getting my training in, and right from the early days, even while I was pregnant, continue training, continue doing everything that I needed to, and then once Gigi was born, getting straight back into it and allowing time to rest, but also just to know that when the time came, get my body right. And at the end of the day, yes, I had a fair bit of time off having Gigi, but there's also just over 6 months of no one playing footy in that time period as well. So that kind of made me feel a bit better about it, knowing that we're all kind of on the same playing level. But it was just about getting back to my processes and training hard and putting my best foot forward when it came to selection time.
That's a unique challenge, right? I mean, Chris and I can't appreciate that challenge of being a mother and playing professional sport. Like, how do you juggle not just the time, but the sense that you want to be around young child, right?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. There are times I feel quite guilty because I'm still spending a lot of time away from her, and then when it comes to night times, I get to spend time with her when she's crying and don't get much sleep, and that all adds up. But I'm very lucky that I've got my mum living with us at the moment to help with all of that. My husband, Adam, he is with the Rabbitohs, so we're both very busy in our own right, and crazy schedules that are changing all the time. So he trains during the days and I train more of the afternoons and work around that. So it's nice to have Mum there as like that base person to always be home and to help. Otherwise, I genuinely I would have 3 mental breakdowns a week. And
Is it scissors, paper, rock for who gets up at night, depending on who's training or playing the next day?
Well, Adam's injured at the moment. Yeah, it's usually who's got training the next day or who's got the next thing. He'll be like, "Oh, I've got to go in for this," and I'm like, "I've just come from training. I'm exhausted." It's about. Yeah, it's like a hierarchy of who's got what next. So, but yeah, he's injured at the moment, so he's gotten off a few times.
What about in terms of club environments you've been in? Because you've been to a couple of clubs now. What have you sort of learned in that sort of environment, and what have you, I guess, particularly learned about leadership and mentoring in those different clubs and different environments? Yeah,
there's definitely different ways that people can lead, and I have learnt that across a couple of different clubs now and different sports. My first NRLW club was at the Broncos, and I loved my time there. I think we really set a really high standard in, being that, I guess, a dominant team with really good leadership, and that was under Ali Brigginshaw, and she's, don't need to talk much about Ali. Everyone knows that she's just an absolute weapon and loves her footy and really set high standards. So when you create that environment for a team to be able to learn but want to do better each week, it's you show that by your actions on the field, which I think that's that kind of standard that we set for ourselves there. We would get back, from games late at night. It'd be 11 o'clock after we'd flown back, and we'd all do ice baths, and then we'd go home. So that kind of thing was just a part of what we did. Down at the Knights, I had Ronnie Griffiths as a coach, and he was such a different approach. Like, he never raised his voice. He never got angry. Sometimes I was wondering whether we'd done enough work. He just had that belief in us that we could do that, and we ended up winning the grand final, and it was the first time that Newcastle had gotten to a final, gotten that close, and he really just instilled that belief, but in a different kind of way. And now at the Roosters, we've just got, it's really that Strangey, our coach, he has that mentality around our leadership group that, we pull each other up on things, and we set the standard for everyone that comes into our team, and we'd rather good people than players, and that'll turn good people into good players at the end of the day. So, yeah, I've learnt a lot through different leadership styles, and seen how they can go, because everyone reacts differently to different styles, I guess.
How important is it being a leader in a team? Because there is so many unique challenges that a lot of the girls we face in, because, as you mentioned, not a lot can go full-time professional. Often, a lot of the girls are either juggling other work or study, whilst they're training. So that comes up with its unique challenges where you can't have a sole focus, just on footy. So how do you make sure that, the whole team and the younger players around you are always in that right mindset to get the most out of training and preparing for the games?
Yeah, it's so true, because we all come in, around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. Everyone's either come from work or study, or some kids are coming from school. Everyone's had such different days, and, whether it's where they live, their upbringing, their culture, everything is different for every person. We make sure that we just create a really good environment that everyone feels comfortable enough to, chat to someone if they need to, or if you notice that someone's a little bit down, or you take them to coffee if you need, just understanding the person and the player second, because everyone, like I said, everyone's different. Some people go into their shell, some people a little bit louder, but knowing your teammates really well, I think, is so important. We've got this thing at the Roosters where, no one's above or below anyone, whether you are, the coach, the captain, a player that's been there for 5+ years, or someone who's in there for the first time, or you're the cleaner. Like, you say hello to everyone, you talk to everyone, and it's everybody's space, and you make them feel welcome, because feeling like you belong is that's what creates a really good culture and that family environment. And we would never want anyone to feel like they don't belong or they can't speak up.
When do you reckon you started feeling like a leader? Like, when does that moment, that transition happen?
I don't know. I think probably just through your experience, and the more that you play, and, and other younger, like, I'm 28 now, and I started when I was like 20 or 19 or something, and you know, you were always that young person, but now when you've got young people coming up to you and asking things, or whether it's on or off the field, just asking for advice, and I think that probably puts you in that category when you can help people and they're looking to you for advice and a bit of help. So, yeah, I'm probably what do you call a veteran now, or a journeyman, you know.
The veteran. We had a couple of athletes as well. Should we call them veterans? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know when you reach veteran stage, but it's probably soon, to be honest, yeah.
So you've won a few grand finals. Is there one that stands out, and if so, why?
Oh, I don't know. They're all very special, to be honest. The first one with the Bronx was very special. It was my first year into league, and we just had such a great crew of people that we had so much fun. And I thought, oh, this is easy. Let's just keep doing this. And then you realise it's actually quite hard to get into grand finals and throughout the season, and more teams get added in, and the seasons get longer. So, yeah, they're all very, very special, but probably your first one, I think, is, yeah.
What about Origin? You played a fair bit of Origin too.
Yes, yeah.
There must be some special moments there, right?
Yeah, definitely. I remember my first year playing Origin was 2019, and we played at North Sydney Oval, and I'm not taking the piss out of rugby union, but a couple of months before this, we played a test match for rugby union at North Sydney Oval, and in 2019, and I ran out, and like I could genuinely see and hear my mum in the crowd. Like there was would have been 90 people there, and I was like, oh, good old rugby, you know. Anyway, and fast forward a couple of months later, I got picked for the New South Wales squad. I was playing a lot of different sports. I was playing rugby and league at this point, and I got picked for New South Wales. And I remember being in the bus and like waiting to get into the stadium, and I'm like, I said to Kezzy Apps, I'm like, what are all these people doing? Is there a game on before us, or like is there something on down the street? She goes, no, darling, they're here to watch the Origin. And I'm like us. Like, I couldn't believe it that so many people would turn up to watch a women's game of sport. And there was over 10,000 people there at North Sydney Oval, and that was a really memorable moment because never thought people would ever go to watch. That had never really happened before, and they all ran on the field after the game, and we won, and yeah, it was very special.
It's interesting because you mentioned the women's games exploded, right, in rugby league, and I think you said your first contract was $3,000. Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you remember what you did with it?
Probably just spent it on something so rational, and I really would have needed the money for rent and food and stuff, but I remember thinking it was a lot of money at the time. I never really had that much money at once, and I think we got it paid all at once, and I can't remember what I did with it. No, that's how stupid, yeah.
But, I mean, obviously you've been on a financial journey like rugby league has, right? Women's rugby league particularly. What sort of, I guess, what have been your mantras or philosophies you can share along the way in terms of your financial outlook, I guess?
Yeah, I think the biggest part for me is, firstly, I've always wanted to love and enjoy what I was doing, and money has never really been a big driver for me. So, firstly, love what you do, and hopefully that pays you back in the end, and saying yes to a lot of opportunities, even if you're not getting paid for them at the start, you know, it'll come around where it'll work out. And then for me, I've just always leaned on people who were, you know, experts in that area, who had interest in it, or, you know, mentors or people that wanted to be able to help you. You know, they could see that I was a struggling female athlete, and they're like, hey, if you can put away this much money, you know, then this is achievable in a year's time. So I was still working outside of obviously playing footy. $3,000 didn't cut it for the year. I was working a few jobs. I was at uni, so wasn't very profitable for a few years, a lot of years. But for me, I've always had people that I've really taken their advice on board. I've gone to coffee with them, learnt from them. I think you can never be young enough to learn when it comes to financial decisions in your life, and too often you think you're too young, or you put it away, or you'll do it down the track, but it's definitely not like that. You've got to get onto it early, even if you're not in that financial position.
Yeah, we've spoken about it before about, myself and a lot of young players in squads. You often, when you first come into a squad, you look to your senior players, not so much for financial advice, but for asking them what they're doing, or any mentors or advisors they could put them in touch with. Obviously, with the women's game growing, over the next few years, there's going to be more and more opportunities for the girls to start earning more, and hopefully be able to have it as professional, so they're not having to work on the side. Are you starting to get, whether it's some of the younger players or even players in the squad, having those conversations around how they can obviously look after their money, whilst they're playing, whether it's their work they're doing as well? Are you having them?
Yeah, it's definitely something that's more a part of the conversation now. I guess as well, more with your closer friends, and help each other, and what people are doing here, whether they're investing in certain things, or buying their first homes, or getting loans out, like that kind of thing. For us, I think the NRLW is growing, and we've got people now that are coming in to help with that kind of thing. Like we've got relationships with, whether it is mentors or financial, or whether it's people at banks that we can, have those conversations with that you might know absolutely nothing about. And you can always reach out to someone within your clubs now, which, is, it's never really been like that before, because it's never really been any money that
how important is it too for young players to access and to take advantage of those resources? Because I know, chatting to a lot of young players, particularly in the men's squads, I mean, there's so many resources out there for them, and it's sometimes not until later in their career they actually realise they've got access to whether it's education grants or resources and club sponsors who can mentor them, and sometimes it's often too late by the time they get to the end of their career. How important is that for the young girls?
Yeah, it's so important. And like you said, I feel like people wait until it's like their last year, or then they don't have a contract for the next year, where they start thinking, oh God, what am I going to do? And try and look at those options when they're still there, but it's a little bit late. It's so important to jump on that and take advantage of all of the opportunities and the resources you have on hand from the start. I remember speaking at one of the NRL rookie camps last year, and I said to these girls coming in, I'm like, you might think that you're all this and that now, but like you could be nothing next year. And that's kind of mean, but like you may as well take advantage of all of these things that you've got now, these resources. I said people would die for these. You're lucky that you've got sport because of them. We didn't have them at the start, but we've got them now, and we're all taking advantage of them. Not taking advantage, but using what you've got until it's gone. But we're always pushing that onto the younger girls coming through, because they're some of them are still living at home because they're still in school. They're just out of school, and it's crazy to think the opportunities that they could have now, even just through sponsors and the network that footy provides you with.
I'm intrigued by what you said earlier, Millie, about you said you did stuff for free for nothing, right? Because, I'm on Triple M as well. When I started on Triple M, I did it for nothing, right? It gets you in the door, right? So have you got examples of that, maybe things you did initially at the start for nothing, and then something came out of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much been my mantra from day dot. Say yes to everything and say no to nothing. So as you get further along, you realise that you can't keep saying yes to everything, but definitely gives you opportunities if you're willing to learn and to do things without getting. I think everyone wants to be paid for something these days, which, each to their own. But and people will ask me now how I've gotten, jobs in the media and certain jobs outside of footy, and it's because I really did put in so much work when I was younger, up and coming, I guess, through footy, where I would travel a lot just to do an appearance here, or whether it was to have one segment on Channel 9 for a weekend thing that they did. I was always just asking if there's anything, like always asking if there's anything you need, or if you want me here, like just let me know and give me some notice and I'll organise it. I remember with Triple M, they were doing the rush hour one week, and Jude Bolton was on holidays for the week, and so I filled in for that week while he was away with Wendell Saylor and Gussie, and from that was in 2023, and then I would do some things here and there for them, and then it came to the show ended, and then they were bringing out a new show a little bit later on, and I was part of that, and it grew to what it is now with the Rush Hour. So yeah, I'm very lucky that I've got these opportunities now, but it definitely came from a lot of hard work early on. With
Triple M, obviously you're still playing and you're still juggling both. But how did that opportunity? Is it something that you thought, I would actually like to try getting into radio or getting into the media, or was it just an opportunity that was presented to you and then you said yes to, and then realised later actually this is something one, enjoy and two, I'm good at?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both. I was just so intrigued, and I love having variation in what I do, and I think radio is so interesting, and I love the people. Triple M's such a great vibe of very chill, cruisy, laid-back people, and I was doing Channel 9 before I went into Triple M, and I really struggled with I can talk underwater and talk to anyone. I can talk in front of crowds and, teams, but when it came to talking on camera, it was like, oh my God, I'm a stunned mullet. I've forgotten everything I know. Why is this earpiece in? Why do I look like that? I've got hair and makeup on. I can see my I can hear someone talking to my ear. It was just so, they just try and be natural. And I was like, this is the most unnatural thing ever. Like your sister, Emma Lawrence, oh my God, she is just an absolute gun. I said, Emma, this is like you taking 10 hit-up carries. I'm drowning here. So I really struggled with the TV stuff, even though I probably came across like I wasn't. But I feel like doing radio has really helped with my transition to do both, because you can find a lot more calmness and that natural side of talking, I guess, in front of a camera.
Well, speaking about Emma, I think she's got a bit of delusional belief. She probably thinks she can take 10 hit-ups, but I'm like, no, you can. And my younger sister's like, no, you can't, I'd crush you.
She probably could. She's a bloody weapon.
You do have a lot on your plate. Radio, television, footy, your own business.
Yeah.
Right? How do you juggle it all?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Like I said, a few mental breakdowns here and there. No, I've got my foundation trainer group. So my younger sister Hannah and my brother-in-law James. My sister Hannah has Down syndrome, and my brother-in-law has autism, and Adam and I come from small regional towns down on the south coast, and sport has always been such a big thing that has been a factor in getting our siblings into the community and feeling part of a team. So moving to Sydney and being in these bigger areas, I felt like that wasn't really a thing. It was very segregated, I guess, and I wanted to be able to provide an environment for young adults with disabilities who had left school. It was like that tricky transition to provide them with like a program that they felt comfortable in and felt like they belonged and wanted to be a part of a team. And so I started a trainer group where I do like 5-week programs, an hour indoors and an hour outdoors on just general health and wellbeing, stuff that we do every day as athletes, but for the participants. And yeah, it's so much fun. I love it. I get so much out of it. Adam loves it just as much as I do, and it's very rewarding. So.
How do you find that helps you with footy? I mean, I know, with my business, things can be going wrong with footy, with injuries or your form. You focus on something else and you actually have some wins, or you feel like you're making an impact, and you can just put everything into perspective, and you find you're sort of playing better. But, with your business, you're having, such a massive impact. How do you find that helps with your game on the field?
Yeah, I mean, having stuff outside of footy, it just shows that life's not all about footy. You can be quite tunnel vision when you're in there, but that's the other thing I think, being a semi-professional athlete. We're not full-time. I love where the game's at the moment personally. Obviously, it's ideal if it's full-time, but you can really make the most of being a part-time athlete at the moment, where you get all the benefits of being an athlete, but then you get the time to set yourself up and do things outside of footy that you love. And just on what you were saying, like, it complements, you're not putting too many eggs in one basket. If you get injured, what do you have? If you don't get your contract, what do you have? It's nice to have options and have a different outlook on, just one thing. Like, I'll come into a trainer group session. We've got one happening right now at New South Wales Centre of Excellence, and you'll come in and, we've been playing, and it's like, oi, so why did you drop that ball and lose the game forever? Like, there's no filter. It's just like, well, I guess everyone saw that, like, just kind of is refreshing. As a sibling of someone with a disability, I know how impactful that is to have that kind of outlet and to be a part of a team. So I love to be able to provide that.
Have you contemplated the moment the women's game goes full time? Because it feels like it's close, right? The NRL's in negotiations now over a new TV deal. Out of that TV deal, we might see the women's game go full time. Like, how is that going to impact on everything else you do? Have you thought about that yet?
Well, to be honest, I don't know if I'll still be playing by then. By the time it does go full time, I don't know. It depends what it looks like. When that season starts and whether that is throughout the days. But, yeah, it definitely will be cutting back on a lot of those, I guess, extracurricular outside of footy. But, like I said, I think it's still a few years away. I'd hate to see it go too big too quick, because I feel like we've been growing at a really steady rate where you're seeing some really good games of footy. I'd hate to go too big too quick where you lose that competitiveness, and everyone's got contracts and a quarter of them can't catch a ball and tackle, So it's growing at a really good rate, but I don't think I'll be playing when it's full time, to be honest. That's my answer.
What if you could sit down with an 18-year-old Millie Elliott, what would you tell her? What would be the advice you would give her?
I would say try and get as much money as you can off your parents and invest them into good property, because it's going to be 10 times the price in 5 years' time. I honestly wish I had money earlier, because I used to go to auctions, inspections, and go, God, this would be great.
We didn't ask you your great regret, your financial regret.
That's my financial regret, not having money, like just being poor for so long. No, but 18-year-old Millie, on a serious note, I would just say stay with it, enjoy it. Good things will come, because wouldn't change anything that I've done. I've always done it because I've loved it, and I've played with my friends the whole way through, and that's what it's all about. I think the friendships that you get from footy, at the start you're doing it for no financial reward. You're sacrificing your weekends, your late nights at training, you're getting busted up. Like, the good parts are the friendships that come with it, and then the opportunities off the back of that. So stay with it, and good things will come.
What about the financial advice, maybe?
Financial advice?
Or did you answer that earlier?
Financial advice. Yeah. It's tough, because there really just wasn't much. We genuinely had no money back then. Like, it was hard to invest because you had no money.
Yeah. What about, again, if you got an 18 or 18-year-old, young player coming through, knowing that, potentially in the next 2 to 5 years it does go full time, and, these girls might have the ability to have the type of money where they can set themselves up, or at least start to think about investing at a younger age. What sort of advice would you give to
that's a better question. I like that.
Thank you. Better than the journo.
I was going to say.
Look, I think now with the opportunities that girls can get and the money that they can get, it's not super life-changing, but it's a big chunk of money that they're coming into that they might never have had before, obviously coming out of school and whatnot. My advice would be to get onto a financial advisor or a mentor or someone who's in that space who can connect you with the right people. Take advantage of your sponsors, your club sponsors at different levels. Just talk to as many people as you can when you're at events and you're networking. Get people's numbers, message them back. Organise to go out for coffee. Get outside of your comfort zone, because you never know who you'll meet throughout the way, and what it could lead to. So don't just stay in your shell and be happy with what you got. Ask for more and ask questions, and just be open to learning and to meeting new people.
There you go.
Pretty good.
We've covered it all.
Yeah.
Well,
you guys are professionals.
thanks for joining us, Millie, on
Thanks for having
Athlete's
me.
Journey, and stay tuned for the next episode soon.
Can't wait.